on this swing for about 15, we were here for about 15 or 20 minutes. She was just on the swing. We weren't hurting anyone. We were here by ourselves. The police showed up. Two officers approached us and told us that we were breaking.
And they put handcuffs on my mom.
I told them that we weren't harming anyone, but that we needed to get outside and get some normality and just get some fresh air. We were talking for a little while, just like on a human to human level, explaining like where I was coming from and all of this mental health. The lockdown, 2 months being inside with my daughter with no support. They proceeded to call backup. The sergeant showed up here. Same thing. I tried to discuss it with him. He didn't want to hear it. He grabbed my arm, took my backpack off, proceeded to put me in handcuffs, separated me from my daughter. I was taken up to the police vehicle where a cop did a body search on me, and it was very thorough and invasive. From there, they put me into the back of the cop car, and I didn't even know where my daughter was at that time. They went through all my things against my will. We were separated for about 20 minutes. He called me an idiot and yelled in my face. They finally came back and released me from the cop car, took my handcuffs off, and gave me an $880 ticket.
I am so angry watching that. I cannot tell you that as a mom and her 5-year-old daughter arrested, handcuffed, searched, separated from her daughter for 20 minutes, arrested in front of her 5-year-old daughter. Now, did she commit a crime? Is she a bank robber? Is she a murderer? What did she do? She was on the swings with her daughter at an empty playground. Joining us now via Skype from Edmonton is our friend Sheila Gunn Reid, chief reporter, to talk to you about the latest case for fightthefines.com. Sheila, I'm so mad when I see that. Tell us about this young lady.
Well, that young lady is Bridget Carlson. She's a young mom in North Bay, Ontario. And, you know, she tells a really quite harrowing tale. She went out to get some fresh air with her daughter. Her daughter wanted to go on the swings. Bridget thought, what's the harm? Nobody else is there. I'm not endangering anybody. And so she let her daughter go on the swings. Then the police showed up, and it culminated in Bridget being handcuffed, stuffed in a cop car, verbally abused by the police. They called her names, and her belongings were searched. She was searched, she told me, under her clothes, separated from her daughter for 20 minutes. I'm a mom of kids. My kids would be absolutely in hysterics, just beside themselves, if they saw that happen to me. All of this happened in front of her 5-year-old. And eventually the police took the cuffs off her, took her out of the cop car, and gave her an $880 fine. And Bridget's not a rich lady. I mean, who is during the coronavirus lockdown? I mean, this is a fine that would absolutely devastate her family. The first time I talked to Bridget, she broke down in tears, talking about the effect that this has had on her and her child. She said her daughter said to her, am I going to need a new mommy if the police come back to get you? Bridget said she, woke up, just sweating. She said it's been very traumatic for her, and her only crime was pushing her daughter on the swings.
Of course, that's not a crime. It's at most a public health ticket. And I know that you spoke to the Top Gun lawyer we've retained to help all of these cases of Fight the Fines. Sam Goldstein, who's a senior criminal lawyer in Toronto, is also a bencher of the Law Society. I mention that because that's one of the senior lawyers in Ontario that run the whole profession. So he's no slouch. And what was interesting, and I encourage our viewers to watch the whole video on fightthefines.com, is Sam made the good point. You can be searched incidental to an arrest, but your stuff being searched, your body being searched, you're thrown into the back of a car for a ticket?
Yeah.
For a ticket? And Sam was musing out loud, and I don't know the answer to his legal research on this. Like, if you get a parking ticket, they can't strip search you, or not strip, so they can't search you under your clothes, separate you from your daughter. It's a ticket. It's not a crime. It's not a crime. Now, I'm not an expert in criminal law, so we rely on Sam Goldstein, but I feel so good that, and we sent our cameraman all the way up to North Bay there to meet this young, no one else would help her. No one else would help her. Who would help her? Where are the civil liberties associations who would normally rage against a young woman, a single mom no less, being thrown in the back of a cop car with cuffs? No one is there. I feel so good about this, Sheila, that we're helping this young mom, and we're helping, I think we have about 11 or 12 or 13 cases like this. We're processing them, so we've only publicized about half of them so far. I feel great about helping this mom. I feel like it's really doing a public duty that no one else will do. I'm so glad you're taking it in particular, because you can relate mom to mom.
She had nowhere else to turn. No one is there to help her. She's a single mom. She's really on her own. As you hear in her interview there, she said she's been basically locked in the house for 2 months with her daughter. This was, you know, their chance to get out and have a little fresh air. And the first time out getting a little fresh air, she ends up in handcuffs. I mean, this is really, I think, going to change people who are on the fence about these fines. I think hearing what happened to Bridget could really signal a bit of a sea change in people's attitudes about police fining people, because this is just so absolutely outrageous. And I did have a couple of conversations with Sam. I talked to him on the phone before I jumped on Skype with him, and he did explain to me that, yeah, this is a ticketable offense. This isn't something that they really can be arresting you for, sticking you in cuffs. And why stick her in cuffs? I mean, if she was acting out, if she was acting belligerent, if there's a crowd of people around and she's acting crazy, but she wasn't. It was just her and her daughter. Who was she endangering?
Yeah. That's an excerpt from my daily show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.